I'm going to show you how to overhaul the pedal of a vintage Raleigh bike. This bike is from 1969, so it's about 45 years old. And the pedal is kind of stiff, kind of catching a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and overhaul it. I tried a regular 15mm pedal wrench on here and it just didn't fit. So what I did was I took a 5/8 inch wrench, I put on my grinder and ground it down so it's a little bit thinner. So we'll go ahead and fit on these. This is a left pedal here, and so it's left hand threaded. The right hand pedal is right hand threaded, so it comes off the normal way, turning it counterclockwise. But the left hand pedal is left hand threaded, so to remove it you have to turn it clockwise. So I got my wrench on there and I got a cheater bar here, so I'm going to go ahead and get this loosened up here. There, got it. The hardest part is getting it loosened, and then once you got that, then it's easy to remove it. And there. Okay, I've got the pedal here. First thing I want to do is remove this end dust cap. I've got a 9/16 inch 6-point socket here, and I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Just turn that counterclockwise and it unscrews there. And it comes off like that. Next, go ahead and remove these little nuts here. I can use like a 9mm little socket. Just go ahead and remove those. Like that. Next up here, there's a little lock nut, and I have a 7/16 inch socket, and that seems to fit that. So I'm going to go ahead, put that on there, and then I'm going to use my wrench over on the other end of the axle here. Hold that, and then go ahead and loosen this lock nut here. And that's actually already fairly loose, so I'll go ahead and just unscrew that. Then there's a little washer in here, and so I'm going to grab that and pull that off. Like that. Now there's the cone in here, and you can use like a little screwdriver to go ahead and just back that off using these little notches in there. And so far you can just unscrew it by hand. Now at this point, you can go ahead and just pull that off there. Pull a little bar off there, and push the axle up there. Now you want to be aware of how many bearings are in each end part, and also be aware of their sizes, because they might possibly be different sizes. On here, they're both the same size, and there's 11 bearings on each side. But on some other pedals, there might be a different number on each end, and they might be different sizes, so just be aware of that. So now I go ahead and pull off these little rubber parts, like this. If you really want to, you can get these bolts out of the end thing here. I don't know if I want to remove those on this one or not, because they're pretty tight. Go ahead and remove these bearings out of there. These almost seem to be glued into here, so I'm just going to scrape them out with a screwdriver. Yeah, this grease in here is like glue. And then get the bearings out of the other side here. And again, they seem like they're like glued in. Now on this pedal, the bearings are 5/32 inch bearings, but you can go ahead and take your bearings to the local bike shop and they can measure them and match them for you. If the bearings are in good condition, you go ahead and just clean them up and reuse them. But the bearings are pretty cheap. I can get a whole set of bearings for a couple bucks at the local bike shops, and you might as well. These bearings, like I said, are like 45 years old, so you might as well go ahead and replace them. Okay, I'm going to put all the metal parts into a can of paint thinner to help get all the dirt and grease off. Let those soak for a little bit and then scrub on them. And then these parts I'm going to go ahead and scrub with some warm water and some dish soap and get those cleaned up. Okay, I got these parts all cleaned up. I even took a little bit of steel wool, kind of cleaned them up a little bit. And now I'm going to go ahead and put this thing back together. First thing I'm going to do is slide these on. And to allow them to slide on a little easier, I'm going to use a little bit of alcohol. So isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol. Just go ahead, squirt a little bit down into the hole there. Shake it around, get a little bit coated in there. And then just slide it on. It'll act like a lubricant. And then when it evaporates, then they'll be on there nice and solid. And again here, just a little bit of alcohol, like that. Drip it in, slide it on, and go ahead and get the reflectors facing outward to start off with. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill these races with a little bit of grease. Actually a lot of grease, because it's got to hold the bearings in place. There. Now I've got some brand new bearings, 5/32 inch bearings from the bike shop. And set these here. And I need to put 11 bearings in each race. So just pick them up with a pair of tweezers and just drop them into place. Okay, and then just kind of, you can put your finger, just kind of push them down so they form a nice little circle. Yep. There. And then to do these, grease down that race there. And 11 in there. Now I've got this little bar here, and I can fit this onto the inside one there, and it'll hold in place. And then I take the spindle, slide that through, and then slide this into place, and slide those onto there like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and just put these on loosely right now, just kind of hold them in place. Okay, now to go to this side, I want to take the cone, and I'm going to go ahead and screw this onto the spindle. Make sure you get on the straight. There we go. Turn it on by hand first. Then you can use a screwdriver to kind of turn it down. And then just check that to make sure that it turns okay. Drop the little washer in place. You need to get the little notch lined up there with the flat part on the axle or the spindle, and then take this bolt or this nut and rotate it on. You can kind of finger tighten it a little bit and then check to make sure that the spindle turns okay. Then you're going to need the wrench onto the spindle down there and get the, what is that, the 7/16 inch socket, I think it was, and tighten the lock nut on there. Again, check that. It's a little rough, so I'm going to go ahead and back that off just a hair. So I'll loosen the lock nut, and then if I find the notch in the cone, I can back that off just a little bit. Tighten that down, check it, that feels smoother. Tighten the lock nut down. Feels much smoother there. And then tighten it down all the way. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the dust cap, screw this on. Make sure you get it threaded on there correctly. Don't cross thread it. There, it should turn on smoothly by hand. And then go ahead and use the, what is it, 9/16 inch socket to go ahead and tighten it on. And you don't need to have it super tight. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten these nuts. Again, that's a 9mm. So tighten those. Make sure you have the reflectors facing out on both sides. Like that. Now I fixed this reflector with a little bit of super glue while I had this thing apart. Okay, now this is just ready to go ahead and screw on. And that's how you overhaul a vintage Raleigh pedal. Hope that helps.